Hello my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I know we started the week talking about some of the oldest possible things at the drugstore. If you didn't catch that video, I'll link it below. But now we're gonna move to newer stuff, okay? Some stuff you may be really interested in here. I've got some hard candy, some Profusion, got a new mascara we're playing around with, so I think it's gonna be a really fun video. Also, I am wild about these headbands I've gotten off of Amazon. I got some solid ones and I got these like bandana print ones. They are not a bandana at all though. They are like super stretchy and comfortable. The knot just, it comes knotted. You don't have to worry about that. And then the little bow, your little bunny ears up here are wired, so you can make them, you know, do whatever the heck you want. Love this for days when maybe you should have washed your hair the night before. Okay, this is the primer we're gonna use, guys. I've heard about this all over TikTok, actually. TikTok's on top of this one. It's the Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer 12-Hour Makeup Grip, and people say it's kind of a dupe for that Milk primer, which I used to have, but I didn't really ever get into it, and I gave it away. And now everybody on TikTok saying they got amazing staying power with this hard candy stuff, and it's just like it, and they're making me want to try it. So with my last Walmart delivery order, I got this, and it does have that same even light greenish color to the product, and you feel like ultra moisturized, but it has that kind of, you know, tacky feel to it. It's not one of those silky smooth primers or one of those traditional like pore filling primers. It really does feel hydrating, and it does feel a little bit, you know, tacky after you've put it on. And I gotta admit, when I've used this, I think I have experienced some pretty darn good staying power out of my products. I'm gonna keep trying it though, because I feel like I've only hit the tip of the iceberg in terms of different foundations that I could be using with this, so I need to do even more experimentation, but so far so good. Then we have this new foundation from Profusion that I've had a lot of questions about, and I mentioned on Instagram that I got it, and I'm gonna be using it for you today. It's the Feel Good Skin Longwear Skin Perfector, hyaluronic acid, medium to full coverage, which I would say is kind of accurate, natural satin finish, and it has SPF 15. Okay, I got it in the shade Fair 3 Cool Pink because on the website, that's what looked best for me. It is a little bit on the light side, but we're gonna work with it. And the first time I used it, I used way too much. So I'm gonna use a little less, just a very small, like half a pea sized amount here. It really did more coverage-wise than I was expecting. And again, I think it's the squeeze tube mentality. Something comes out of a squeeze tube, you don't think it's gonna be quite as much coverage, but sometimes you're surprised. I mentioned the same thing with the NARS Soft Matte Foundation. We get tinted moisturizer vibes from squeeze tubes, don't we? Okay, so I'm just gonna like blend this in. You can see, you know, the shade is not far from correct, but just maybe a little on the light side. Or maybe I just thought that because I used way too much the other time. But the coverage, when I look at like what's happening around the under eye and what's happening around the melasma, it's really looking pretty good. But you know what it kind of reminds me of in texture? I'm gonna apply just a little bit more because I went a little bit light. I felt like I wasn't quite hitting certain areas. It sort of reminds me of the experience of applying like IT Cosmetics CC cream, you know? I feel like they're a very similar coverage level. I wouldn't say it's full, but it's kind of close to it. It's a very strong medium coverage. I feel like the skin's getting really nicely evened out. The texture of it looks quite nice on the skin. And just like blending a little bit into my hand, it almost feels like there is some added moisture in that product. It doesn't feel just like liquid makeup, you know, but like there's a little bit more richness in there. This would be like my third time using this though, so it needs some more shots. But I will say so far I am pretty darn impressed with that. I don't think I really have a brand new drugstore concealer, so we're gonna go to one of the newer ones, the Age Perfect Radiant Concealer, which I think is a really nice concealer. And we're gonna put a couple dots right in here in our deepest, darkest zone, and also dot a little bit up, like kind of on top of the cheekbone. I always like to brighten right in there. I don't know what it is, but it makes a difference. Hit around the nose and a little bit on the chin. And then I kind of start out a lot of times with the brush that I blended the foundation in with, and just tap it in. You'll notice no buffing, no circular motions, no swiping, just tapping. And tap in as much as I can get with that. And then I go in with a little bit smaller brush to handle the details. And by just tapping, we're maintaining the coverage. We're maximizing the coverage we can get. Then I take this little brush, and as you can see, we got more product to work with right in here. Again, with the dabbing motions. I think this is a really nice concealer. It's like Infallible Pro Glow, but just a little richer, a little bit nicer even on the under eye, just as far as if you've got texture there. I've used it quite a bit, and even though it's not maybe my fullest coverage thing, I feel like it really is doing quite a bit. I think people with dry skin or just borderline dry skin, normal skin, would really enjoy the texture of that one. Guys, I want your opinions on holiday stuff for this season. Like, are there any holiday sets that are really catching your eye? I am noticing a little bit of a trend from brands, and I'm not saying this idea has gone totally out the window. I know we're gonna see some random limited edition big ol' holiday palettes, but I am noticing a little bit of a trend toward downsizing or giving like a newish version of an existing popular product in the line. I've noticed a few things like this from Tarte, from Too Faced. Those are brands I frequently review around the holidays because they just tend to go big, but that's something I'm really going to be diving into. But I want your opinions and just any requests that you have. You know, what have you seen that's really perked your ears up? Let me know. I'm definitely going to be kicking into high gear with some of that stuff in the coming weeks, like maybe next week. So yay! Next up, I just need a little bit of powder, and my powder that I have is like, I'm going to use this Maybelline Shine Free. It's not new at all. It's quite old, but I don't have like a brand new drugstore setting powder. But this stuff, as I was realizing in a previous video this week, this is really quite good, and I don't think anybody's really gone and reinvented the wheel where loose powder is concerned, so even though it's been around a long time, I think it can hang with pretty much everything else. It might be a little more thick looking once you get it blended in than the Maybelline Fit Me powder. That powder maybe just seems a little more fine and a little more sneaky on the skin, but I've got a lot of moisture in my skin right now. You know, I moisturized well, I had that primer that added hydration. I feel like this foundation in itself had a little hydration, so, you know, it contained hyaluronic acid. So I feel like in the T-zone and the under eye area, I can handle a little powder today. Sorry, we're just getting some older product steps out of the way before we move on to more newness, but I am going to use this bronzer also that came from my older stuff video, and it's the Physicians Formula. It's called Multicolored Custom Bronzer. It's the light bronzer shade, and I really like this. Really, really like it. Love how it's instead of being a complete mixed mosaic, it's kind of a fade, and you can really customize the way your bronzer ends up looking. If you want to swirl just on the side that's darker, you can. If you want to mix it with the lighter shade, you can. This was a Walmart item where I live, but you may not always just flat out find it on Walmart's website. You know, if you're ordering online, sometimes the selections can be different. I'm even contouring with it a little bit. Yeah, we got some cheekbones today. All right. Then here's a new one from Physicians Formula. It's the Triple Defense Multicolor Stick. So this actually does have sunscreen in it, which is kind of a unique thing for a blush stick or a blush and lip color. You know, you could probably use this on the eyes as well, they would claim. But they had this whole line that I definitely used some things from in a video a while back, but I hadn't used this, and this is the Natural Rose color. Speaking of roses, how about Schitt's Creek winning all those awards at the Emmys? Isn't that great? Okay, I'm gonna get a few little dots right over here. I'm gonna see how easy it blends in with the finger because I've only used a brush with this until this point. I was just kind of playing around with it a few days ago. Yeah, finger's okay, but I feel like I'm messing with the coverage underneath. To me, this is not the easiest to work with cream blush out there. It kind of pulls a little bit. Remember when Maybelline had a really great blush stick and then they got rid of it? What was it called? Like Master Studio, Master Glaze, Master something? Okay, so I'm building this very slowly just so I don't get out of control with what I have to blend. And this brush that I'm using is the Sigma F53 Air Contour / Blush. So it's kind of got that duo fiber thing. It helps you not apply too much pressure. I don't know, I just feel like I'm going to come away from this look wanting more blush. So we need a little more. Building slow. It really is a nice shade. And I'm not sure if I'm going to want to wear that on the lips yet today. I do have a few options for lips, so I might just leave it here and do something different on lips. But it is pretty on the lips. In fact, the other day I was wearing this color on the lips and I thought, oh, that's nice. For my highlight, sneak peek of what I'm probably going to want to use on my eyes today, this is the new Bear palette from Profusion. I'm so excited that they're coming out with more of these 10 color palettes that are super cheap. We're talking like $5, amazing quality. Love that they're really paying attention to that line and keeping it expanding. But right here, there's a pretty shimmer that I just feel like would be a beautiful highlight. So we're going to try that. Kind of crazy because I didn't have new products for every element of the face look today, but I have several options when it comes to eyeshadow. Look at that. It's the shade called Compelling. It's the second shade there in the top row. I like that. That is giving a downright juicy cheek right there. I like the Cupid's bow. Never overlook your eyeshadow palettes. You may have stuff in there that makes a beautiful blush or a highlight if you're looking to multitask. Also, I'm trying to go ahead and use up this product, this Farsali Rose Gold Skin Mist. It's just got a little bit in there, so let me use it, please. I know it's not drugstore, but it does smell fantastic. So here's where we're at face-wise, everybody. I feel like even though the skin might not look all over like really, really glowy. I mean, I'm glowy here where I put the highlight, right? But just looking in my mirror, it doesn't look insanely like dewy and tacky, but to the touch, it feels very, very hydrated. So like that Profusion foundation, it was not playing around. I think the Hard Candy Primer underneath gave it an even added moisture boost. But yeah, I'm really liking the look. I feel very fresh right now. I do think that shade is probably going to be perfectly appropriate as the months progress a little bit. I don't think I'm going to seek out like a deeper shade for right now. I just don't think it's necessary, but I'm going to use this e.l.f. Lock On Brow and Eyeliner. This is such a good product. This is not really new, by the way. It's been around for a while, but it's super underrated from e.l.f. It's creamy. It's pretty easy to use. I use this double-ended brush that's also e.l.f. And if you need to use this, of course, I'm really getting into a flow talking about it and the memory card fills up on me. But what I was saying was if you need to use this as eyeliner, it works great and like really does last. I wear this shade called Espresso, so it goes from brow to liner really easily. I mean, it's like a near black. And I just use this double-ended spoolie brush and it works so stinking well. And I feel like you're getting a lot of product in here too. I still like my Maybelline pomade, and I do think that one might be a little bit easier to paste yourself with, the Tattoo Studio, as you apply it. Like this one's pretty creamy, so I do have to really try to get just bare minimum on the brush because for me and my brows, it's gonna look like way too much real quick. But once you're kind of used to it, I mean, I think it's a great bargain and kind of an awesome 2-for-1. When we're talking about like dewy skin or like a glowy skin look versus a matte skin look, do the seasons have any bearing on whether or not you want to go in one direction or the other? Or are you just generally like you have an overall preference and that's what you go with? Because I feel like sometimes I see more matte stuff come out, or the thought of more of a matte trend in the cooler months and more glow in the summer. But then I think like there's more need maybe to moisturize in those quote-unquote matte months and more need to control the oil in the summer months. But I don't know, I just jacked myself in the nose with the end of this brush, which had some dark stuff on it. Yay. I think I lost focus and my brows are now a little uneven. And I do need to touch up my nose area just a bit with some concealer because that's looking a little problematic now. Oh yeah, my concealer was pretty hydrating today also. And let's reset that. Not taking any chances today. And finally pop in some of my lovely brow gel here just to make it all stick in place. Yeah, I'm talking to you, you outer end brow hairs there that like to pop up. Finally, we need to put some, what, finally, we're just getting started here. You put on some Milani eyeshadow primer. Finally, in terms of these basic steps before we move on to some shadow. Try to get that whole area, not just the lid, but through the crease, and pat it up into that whole entire space, okay? So as I was saying, for our eyeshadow, we've got tons of options today. Let me just go through and show you some of the new things I've been playing with. First off, this Coffee Cat palette from Wet n Wild. What's the story here? I mean, this palette, the reason why I had to get it is because Biddy, of course, she literally says if somebody's copycatting her, she calls them a coffee cat. Like, she's been doing that for well over a year now. You know, if Nookie like copies something she's saying or whatever, and they get into that, you know, repeating, and she'll say, "You're being a coffee cat," and she always says coffee cat. So I saw this was available, and whether or not I like the color scheme or not, I was going after this one. Good thing I do like the color scheme. I think I showed myself wearing this recently on Instagram. One shade did come cracked. I ordered this from Ulta, and you wouldn't believe the mess in the box from that fraction, that quarter of an eyeshadow that cracked. It went everywhere, all over the place. But, you know, it's a nice toasty, kind of peachy, warm brown color scheme here. Nothing wrong with it. Honestly, if this wasn't named Coffee Cat, I probably wouldn't have gotten it because I would have known that I've got a lot of these shadows already. But I'm just saying, it was a cute little theme. It does kind of smell like coffee, I gotta say. But there's just something very cute about that. There's a little cat there sitting on a chair drinking coffee, and I also have a couple of lip glosses that I really like from that line. Then, new from Profusion. I laughed about this on Instagram over the weekend, but this is the Minimalist palette. Yes, it's named Minimalist. There are 35 shades in it. I just can't. I mean, they gotta call this Minimalist, not this. But it's got some really pretty stuff happening. It's got some purple pops, some little splashes of gold and bronze in there. As you can see, there's like 4 downright glittery shades. I've only worn this once so far. I know there's a lot more I can do with it, but today I kind of want to explore this Bear palette. I mean, it's called Bear, but you know, what is it gonna actually create here? We can see we've probably got some really good things for the crease. We've got a few shimmers, a couple of mid-tone-ish shades, a nice light cream. I want to play with this today. I mean, I want to see what that's going to do. And the other one I did get, though, is the Citrine. That's another new one, and it has some really bright yellows. And I was thinking of kind of like a fiery fall look, you know, at some point with that. But okay, I'm excited about this Bear palette. You know, we may just uncover a great new basic here, so let's do it. I'm going to use the shade called Recital. It is textbook Dusty Rose, and we're going to get that into the crease. I just love the pigmentation on these. You will not be disappointed. You get one of these 10 color palettes. I mean, they've got beautiful color schemes. They've got all matte. There's a really pretty purple one. There's a great mauve one. You're going to love the quality, and honestly, they're a little less overwhelming than the larger ones, the 35 shade ones, which are fine, but maybe my tastes are changing a little bit, and I just like something that's a bit more edited down. And I've always felt like the choices they made for what they put in these palettes have been really smart. And also the one called Smoky, you want that one. I did a Carrie Underwood inspired eye with that one once, and it was, whew, loved it. That's probably my most used one that I have, is the Smoky. Okay, see what we're doing there? That's just one shade. That's this one called Recital. Maybe let's go down a notch to this shade called Changes, which looks like a soft, kind of like a gentle terracotta. Let's focus that outer corner. I don't know, maybe not so bare. Maybe actually some decent depth in this. Kind of warm and toasty, okay. I'm gonna take my Bare brush, give it a blend, going over the outside there. Maybe a little bit of this shade called Polite that we can highlight with. A nice smooth cream, matte. And I want to use this color called Fine here. Look how the gradient is so subtle. That's what makes blending very easy. Sometimes you might look at a palette like that and be a little critical, and you might think, well, all those shades are kind of close. But sometimes, you know, if they're nicely pigmented, they will hold their own, yet be in the same ballpark and be very easy to layer and kind of blend one on top of the next. And that's how you get these seamless blends on your eyeshadow, where one shade is going into the next shade and you can hardly tell. You know, it's just fading so well. Next, we got to see what this tawny color is made of right down here. I want to see how dark that truly is. So I'm going to pat it here on the outer corner. Okay. That is probably the darkest shade in here. And I like how it really is doing something, you know. It's dark enough to show, it's dark enough to provide that little bit of contrast, but it's still gonna be, you know, a relatively subtle, gentle eye. I really like that, and I really like the way that's looking alongside those kind of rosy shades. Really nice. Absolutely. Then maybe we work our way in, going a little lighter. This shade called Outgoing. Just a soft, slightly warm brown. I'm wearing a Barefoot Dream sweater right now. It's that time of year. A little chill in the air in the mornings. Love that. Okay, so we've eased our way in ever so slightly. And then I want a little shimmer in here. We need to work with the shimmer, see how that is. We've got one that's got a little golden tone, one that's much cooler, and one here, this one called Toasted. Probably won't use that today, but ooh, a nice copper. Let's use Brilliance right in there. Oh yeah, they're not messing around. These shimmers are not going to be Flake City. They're going to be pigmented and easy to work with your brushes. And kind of softer shimmers, not maybe like wildly metallic looking. We're just playing here. We're just trying to see how it is. I think I'd also like to take this one because this seems to be the brightest one. This is the one I used as the highlight on the face. And let a little bit of that come right around the innermost corner, just because that seems to be the brightest shimmer that we have. That's nice. Okay, and another cool thing that this palette has that I want to do a little splash of is we've got this sort of yellow, like a real yellowish peach here with the color called New Wave. And that's a matte. And that could be a pretty thing. You know, I know we went pretty rosy with our theme here, but just to see. That will be really pretty going on the outside of a look that you're blending out, or all over the lid or something. I'm liking this look, guys. It's so easy to get a nice blend out of everything. Then we're going to go back to Tawny with a pencil brush and let that start to define the lower lash line. I'll probably just kind of, the first place you put your brush is where the most product goes, so outside, and then just let it fade on in, let it trail on inward. These are shadows where I would advise tapping off the excess, but it's not like an obscene amount of excess. They're nicely pigmented, there's a nice little softness to them, but it's not gonna completely overwhelm you. I just think you can have a little bit more control if you tap off. Really liking this, guys. I feel like we're kind of showing the max on this one. Well, maybe you could go out and take a small brush with the tawny color, do even more in the outer corner, but I'm just really liking what that's able to do. And I kind of enjoy the two separate color schemes, really. If you look across the top, it's more rosy. If you look across the bottom, going a little more into the bronze, copper, that yellowish peach, really nice. And because I want to look even more awake today, I'm gonna take my ABH double-ended pencil, and I used to always use the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Highlighter until about a year ago I lost it. Did I lose that in the hospital when I was having Bubba? May have. Had a few things going on that day. And so anyway, I've got that light, the matte color in there in the inner rim. But what's neat about that pencil is you also have a shimmer side that can work in so many ways. Inner corner, brow bone, cheekbone, cupid's bow, you name it. Really easy to blend too. Alrighty, so now I've got this new liner pen that I am loving. I have used the heck out of this. It's been kind of like a daily thing. Even when I don't really feel like wearing eyeliner, I still go for this. It's the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Waterproof Liquid Liner, and it is a brush tip, y'all. So this is really, really nice. I know I've used a brush tip from Physicians Formula in the past. This seems to be even more, gosh, if I could talk and not have a nose itch, this seems to be even more opaque than I remember that one being. It's more like my M Cosmetics, you know, like dang. More like a Kat Von D tattoo liner. So we're gonna take this across the upper lash line. Yeah, this is a real gem here. I'm gonna wing it out because it's just so easy to do. Anybody else kind of like a strong wing with a lighter eye look? I don't know if those are even, but I think they're close enough. But I really like that liner. Nice and opaque and black and long wearing, and I love it. I'm just killing it with the new stuff here on the eyes because we also have a new mascara. This is the L'Oreal Air Volume Mega Mascara. The packaging is like this. It's kind of like a, I don't know, they're trying to make it seem like it's a squeeze tube, but it's not. It's solid. And this is the brush. Like a really thick kind of natural bristle brush, not a rubber bristle. No real taper to it especially, no super hourglass shape. Right now, I mean, it's still kind of new. I've used it probably 5 or 6 times. I'm not quite probably to its sweet spot yet, and I went back yesterday and I thought I'm going to use Lash Paradise just for reference now, and I threw that on and it built up even better. The lashes looked even bigger and nicer, and I kind of feel like I still like Lash Paradise best out of the L'Oreal mascaras, but we're going to use this today. Again, it may just need a little age on it yet. I think it's good about holding curl, like it's not too heavy, this whole air volume idea. I feel like it is lightweight. See, there we go. It's nice, you know, it's not a bad mascara. I thought Lash Paradise was doing a little more for me. You ever wonder how some songs get into your head? Like, there are some where, okay, it was the last song I heard on the radio in the car, or it was playing during a TV show I was watching, and it's very logical why you've got a certain song in your head. And today I've got that song in my head that I know I have not heard this in a while. It's the one that's like, I'm waking up, I feel it in my bones. Is it Imagine Dragons, I think? Where'd that song come from? I don't know. You know, I wanted more volume, I wanted more length, and it just isn't looking quite as fluttery pretty as Lash Paradise will. It's looking a little bit chunky. And then I need a little bit of my Hourglass, I never remember the name, Instant Extensions mascara. Just for the lowers, just because it won't smudge. So there's our eye look, you guys. I'm so happy with the eyeshadow palette. I think that's a star of the show. The understated, sort of under the radar star of the show is also that Wet n Wild eyeliner. Really liking that. A few lip options that we have here. I've heard so much buzz about these lifter glosses with hyaluronic acid from Maybelline. I've used this. I got it in the shade Topaz. Really strikes me as something that's trying to be similar to the Fenty Gloss Bombs. I'll try it on for you. It's got kind of that big applicator. It's got, you know, a nice scent. Really like that scent. What does it remind me of? A splash of suntan lotion with a little bit of Kool-Aid. It's my summers at the pool as a child. Getting that on. See how it's sheer? It's got an element of sheerness to it, but there is like a little bit of a shimmer in the gloss. But it has that same feeling of thickness. Those Fenty glosses really, I'm gonna say it, they're not my favorite. They're not sticky in the least, but there is a thickness there that I almost find to be just a little bit annoying. Maybe it's because the applicator can get so much on your lips at one time, and you gotta kind of pace yourself there. But that's what this reminds me of. If you like that, if you want an affordable alternative to that. But this shade, it looked like one of the deeper ones actually in the lineup, but it looks pretty sheer on the lips. It's a more hydrating feeling gloss, I'll give it that, than a lot of glosses on the market. I'm just not really jumping up and down over the look. Another tidbit about the mascara, it feels like it kind of takes a long time to dry. I'm trying to do my little trick where you help it dry with some curl. The other stuff we have here are from that Coffee Cat line from Wet n Wild, and I have the shades Deja Brew and La Vida Mocha. Love that. Love those names. And you can see that they also have the little coffee cat right there, if that means anything to you. And I'm going to put on, well, what should I do? Maybe I'll put them on each separately so you can really see. We'll do La Vida Mocha first, this kind of nude color. I almost didn't get this one. And look at what a pretty nude it is. I really love both of these. They're opaque, shiny. what you see is what you get kind of color. A little bit of a coffee scent, kind of reminds me of the scent of maybe like a Bonnie Bell lip lights from about 1998 maybe. But look at that. Is that not a pretty nude? I like that. And then I've sometimes worn just a splash of that shade in with this one. But this shade, just wait. Living La Vida Mocha. Look at this. This is my fall color right here. Dusty rose, a little rust. Like, what's going on with these glosses, Wet n Wild? They're really great. Not too thick, not sticky. Fully opaque. It's hard to define your Cupid's bow when you can't stop talking. See that? I love that color. That's the one called Deja Brew. You know what I think would be really nice to get for me is the procedure they call a lash lift. I think it's where they kind of get some sort of permanent curl going or semi-permanent curl going in your lashes. I would love that. I don't know, has anybody had that done? What's it like? Is it scary? I'm impressed with a lot of things that are happening here. I thought the Profusion Feel Good Skin foundation worked really nicely. Again, I think one of the most similar things I could compare it to would be the IT Cosmetics CC cream, because it's that surprising coverage level, a little added moisturization. I just really like the effect of that, and if you're wanting that added moisture, maybe try that hydrating primer with the 12-hour makeup grip. Was not wild about this blush stick. I think if you really want ease with a creamy type of blush, I mean, from Physicians Formula alone, you know, they have those organic wear blushes that pump out. They're more of a liquid style blush. That would be easier to blend than this one, and probably just as much color. If you want that vibe and that format, but even more intensity, maybe go to the M Cosmetics serum blushes. But this wasn't the best experience really putting that on. The eye look, I feel like I'm gonna love this Bare palette going forward. I love that the look is, you know, able to create contrast on my eyes, but is still like super natural and looks nice with a strong liner. Not over the moon with the Air Volume Mascara. To me, I think overall Lash Paradise performs better. I kind of feel take it or leave it about this particular lifter gloss. Granted, this is the only shade that I've tried, but I just feel a little underwhelmed. If it had more color, if it was a really beautiful poppin' shade on the lips, that'd be one thing, but I prefer these little coffee cat glosses. I think that's a gorgeous nude with the Livin' La Vida Mocha. I just want to say the Livin' La Vida Mocha more. But Deja Brew, that color right there with that eye look, digging it. So thank you so very much for your time today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, let me know if you've got any requests for certain holiday product reviews, holiday gift sets, palettes, all those things. What do you have your eye on? And yeah, have a great day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.